there was a trade that went down kind of out of nowhere, out of the blue. Karl-Anthony Towns, Josh, headed to the Big Apple.
Yeah, and the Knicks are sending Julius Randall and Donte DiVincenzo back to the Timberwolves. Why did the Timberwolves trade Karl-Anthony Towns? That's what I'm confused about. I get it from the Knicks perspective. I don't get it from the Timberwolves perspective at all.
So I think that whenever there's a trade happen, and really in the NBA, because the NBA is the one, baseball, you make trades at the trade deadline, but it's mostly prospects for major league help. But everybody in the NBA wants to know who won the trade. And, usually we really don't know till 2, 3 years down the line. I actually think this trade works out for both teams. And the reason I say that is because I don't think even with Karl-Anthony Towns, the Knicks are actually that much better. I think that Karl-Anthony Towns gives them another score, another option, obviously, being able to clear out the lane for Jalen Brunson, allow Mitchell Robinson to do what he does and rebound the ball, give them another spacer on the floor. We know Jalen Brunson's injury history, with the Knicks. And then from the Minnesota side, they're saying, listen, Karl-Anthony Towns makes a lot of money. Rudy Gobert makes a lot of money. Anthony Edwards is going to be making a lot of money here very soon. Anthony Edwards is clearly our best player. Cat is best with the ball in his hand. Anthony Edwards has the ball in his hand most of the time. Getting rid of Cat and actually allowing Rudy Gobert to sort of clog up the lane might be a better fit for them because Julius Randall can be the guy on the block. He can be the guy that can, sort of take turns with Anthony Edwards without getting in his way. He can be the mid-range jumper. He can give you that second scoring threat at a little bit of a lesser salary, similar game, though obviously Cat has better range. But I think the biggest impact of this all is Minnesota gets DiVincenzo. I think is the biggest factor in this trade because Minnesota needed more bench shooting. They got it now, and DiVincenzo can start. He can come off the bench. He's a good 3-and-D guy. He's going to be valuable for them late in the season. So this trade to me, it didn't really impact expectations, win totals, anything like that from either side. I actually think looking at it, both sides get what they wanted.
The reason I say it's more confusing from the Minnesota side is because Cat played excellent defense against Nikola Jokic in that second round series last year. And now you're giving that up. Like, I don't understand. Minnesota made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. Now, I get it. Dallas basically took it to them and probably should have swept that series, but they didn't. Um, and it was like a different type of matchup for Minnesota, but still, they were right there.
I
So
think I think what Minnesota's telling you is again, and there was rumors going back to this offseason that Cat could be on the move because they didn't want to pay Cat, Gobert, and Edwards. They sort of felt like if the ball was going to be in Edwards' hands anyways, we'd rather have a proven rebounder more than another scorer. And really, what we've seen in the NBA now, I don't consider Jalen Brown a superstar. I don't consider Jason Tatum a superstar. But those,
that's where you and I disagree on that.
those two guys won the title last year. In my opinion, they are both stars. I trust Jalen Brown more with the game on the line than I do Jason Tatum. But to me, Boston didn't have one dominant player. They had 8 guys who you were afraid of. Tatum, Brown, Holiday, White, Porzingis, Horford, who just retired. I mean, name them.
And
So,
I think that's why the Knicks made this trade. It's
yes,
because of it's because of one player in Boston. Not to dismiss
no,
the
I don't think that's the reason. I think both these teams made this trade saying the Knicks are saying we need another piece that's a second better scorer than Jalen Brunson because we don't trust Jalen Brunson's injury history, and on some nights Cat can be a number one. I think Minnesota made the trade saying we don't really need a second star behind Anthony Edwards. We need Anthony Edwards to be great, and we need shooters around him, and we can get DiVincenzo and Randall, which will probably give you more production overall than Cat. And I also think Minnesota, to your point, was built to be Denver. They were not built to be Dallas. Denver has had another weird offseason. They're letting people go. Jamal Murray never seems to be healthy. Looking back at it now, it almost seems like Denver, struck lightning with that championship 2 years ago. I think Minnesota is telling you Oklahoma City, Dallas, maybe a few other teams in there, they feel are bigger threats to them specifically than Denver.
So the reason I said the New York made this trade because of one player is because I'm targeting Kristaps Porzingis here. You saw the type of impact Porzingis made for the Boston Celtics last season. Again, that's not to diminish what Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Derek White or Drew Holiday did for them, obviously. But you saw the impact Porzingis made once he was healthy and was playing for the Celtics. I think the Knicks are kind of banking on that type of impact for Cat. And from what I've heard, they're now possibly shopping Mitchell Robinson. I don't know if you've heard that, but
I have not. I think that would be a mistake because I like Mitchell Robinson. I think he's a very good player. And Cat, can sometimes not be the greatest rebounder on every night. I think the difference with Porzingis, though, to your point, Porzingis was the fourth best player in Boston, and they did not need him to win the title. Cat is going to have to be the second best player in New York every night for them to even have a chance to beat Boston.
I disagree a little bit. I think Porzingis was the difference maker for Boston winning the title this year because
maybe winning the title, but I mean, he didn't really play in Game 3 or Game 4. Game 1, he was phenomenal.
I'm talking about overall impact, not specifically in the finals. Well,
I don't know. They didn't need him in the playoffs. He didn't play in the second or third round.
And this is where Boston's run to the playoffs gets questioned all the time because of their opponents and not being fully healthy. You know that story's going to follow them.
Well, I think no one's talking about the fact that Al Horford retired. I think that's a huge loss for them.
Oh, I agree.
On the court and leadership. And historically, we'll get into this in the next couple of weeks as the NBA season gets underway. But we know the last 6 times an NBA champion's been crowned, they haven't made it back to the conference finals the next year.
Right. I saw something that had the Cavs with the second best record in the Eastern Conference.
And I saw that too. I literally laughed out loud at that.
I'm just like, the Cavs have not made the type of additions over the offseason to really make me believe they can be the second best team in the East. Not when Philly made the moves they did. Not when New York made the moves they did. Indiana's still going to be a factor. Orlando's made nice additions. So
this is going to come as a shot at the NBA, and I'm sorry for all you basketball fans out there. Josh, you're a bigger NBA fan than me, but this trade to me came across as, oh yeah, the NBA starting again. The NBA exists.
I get what you're saying. I fully get what you're saying because the NFL has taken over. And to a certain extent, I know Caitlin Clark is out from the WNBA playoffs, but don't turn off the WNBA playoffs because you got a finals rematch from last year between the Vegas Aces, the back-to-back WNBA champions, and the New York Liberty. You've got Connecticut going against Minnesota. This is going to be a fun finish for the WNBA playoffs. So don't tune out just because Caitlin Clark has been eliminated.